All right, guys, so we already know a few things about the pancreas, all right? The pancreas does more than what you think. And I know you learned from your doctor and your doctor's visits, and of course, the type 2 diabetes classes that you may have taken in the hospital and so forth. They tell you that the pancreas has alpha cells and beta cells. Your beta cells release the insulin, your alpha cells release glucagon. So when you have high blood sugar rush, you know, whatever you ate, whatever it may be, there's several reasons why you can experience high blood sugars or hypoglycemia. The pancreas releases insulin to bring it down, but then when you have a low hypoglycemia, your pancreas from the alpha cells release glucagon in order to bring your blood sugars back up. Now we're going to look at something why we started a lot more normal in our fitness group training, why we started to go ahead and do the and let me just make sure somebody came on. Okay, thank you, Mr. Richardson. Why we started to do our high intensity interval training. Okay, so that's very important. Now, as you see right here, you have these little great looking molecules here. Now, those are actually glucose. Those are glucose. Now, let's say that when you eat something, gastrointestinal tract, we kind of know the process, but I'm gonna break that down for you a little further in our future training modules. I'm sorry, while y'all see me pausing, I'm just letting people in, so give me a second. We let a few more people in. Hello, Mr. Grant. Hello, Mr. Marlin. So what we're looking at right here, guys, we're going to look at how can we target the fat cells and use them as fuel. How does that happen? It's a long process. The only reason we're going over this right now because we have ventured into the land of high intensity interval training. And I have it up here. Let me move you guys out the way here. I have it up here, HIIT, HIT. High intensity interval training. But before we get started, I would be remiss. Good evening, Mr. Marlin. All right, Mr. Marlin is shy this evening. Good evening, Grant, and good evening, Mr. Richardson. All right, he's in the car as usual. Hello, Mr. Richardson. All right, guys, so let's look at this. When you eat anything, we already know mostly carbs, it turns into glucose. The glucose is then transferred into your cells in order to burn for energy. We're exercising. One of the best exercises that you can do, which we already have been doing, one of the staple moves, there's two of them, is squats and push-ups. Squats and push-ups. However, we are now entering into the land of HIIT, high intensity interval training. Here's how we're going to tap into the fat cells in order to burn for fuel. Now, everybody, if you have a question, comment, or concern as we're going through this, just raise your hand, stop me. We'll regurgitate it again. We'll go over it a different way, but it's very important for you to understand. Give you that incentive to join those high intensity interval trainings that we do every Tuesday and sometimes on Thursdays. Now, guys, here's what's happening. We do 30 seconds. So we do a 30-second move, boom. Whether it's a hold, whether like a plank hold, with a knee up especially, whether it's plank jacks, whether it's squats, whatever it is, 30 seconds. So we start 30 seconds, we rest, we go into the next move, we do it 4 times, and then we go into a quad set. 30, 30, 30, 30. The main time that you want to rest is 1.5 minutes, so we definitely want to get 90-second rest. Here's what's happening while you are doing your high intensity interval training. If you do it early in the morning, like on Sunday mornings, you do not need to eat anything because we already know that while you're eating throughout the day, the next morning, you don't have to eat anything in order to say, oh, I need the energy in order to burn for fuel. Your cells, outside of what they have already been doing, when you eat certain food, it stores that glucose is stored in your cells as glycogen. And they literally look like this. They look like little grapes. So as they're stored in your cells as glycogen, now when you are exercising, we do our warm up and then we do our first circuit. So we do the first exercise, 30 seconds straight. Yeah, you're good. You do aerobic and then we do anaerobic. So we start off with aerobic, which means this. The difference between aerobic and anaerobic, as you see right here on the screen here, The difference between the two is aerobic, you're burning, your fuel is primarily oxygen. You're bringing in the oxygen, so you know we're walking in place. We're walking in place. Or we do some leg lifts, knee lifts, or we do knee, elbow to knee. We're just doing these things, but we are not really burning or tapping into a major fuel source because, you know, we can pretty much talk while we're doing it. So that doesn't take too much energy. So that's just oxygen. That's all you're using. That's aerobic. Aerobic, you're bicycling or you're walking around the track. That's all aerobic. But then we get into our circuit. So aerobic, you're burning oxygen as fuel. You don't burn a lot by the way. When you burn a lot is when you're actually doing more or increasing your load, like we use resistant weights, or you're doing things high intensity, which is those 30 seconds nonstop movement. So now we go from aerobic to anaerobic. Here's where the magic happens. Anaerobic means that you're no longer using that oxygen as a fuel source. You're actually using what is called glycogen. Glycogen are the quick release stores of glucose inside of your cells that's going to be released in order to get you through that first circuit. And then, of course, we have our cool down, not necessarily cool down. We have our repair time where we just sit there and walk it out. I always tell you guys, don't just sit there between our workouts and just sit and do nothing. Recover, repair, move around just like this. Just do something because something is especially taking place during the repair time or recovery time. So here's what's happening, guys. The first time, 30 seconds, your glycogen is being worn out. I mean, it's going through the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, and it has to go through that mitochondria in order for you to burn for energy. But guess what? We go to the second circuit, and now the second circuit, something is happening. You're starting to develop something in your tissue, and it's starting to burn as you're doing the pull-ups, or you're doing the push-ups, you're doing the curls, you're doing your shoulders, shoulder lateral raise, whatever it may be, something is starting to burn. That is called lactic acid. Where does that come from? It's actually a good thing. Watch what's happening. At the second circuit, your glycogen has all been, your reserves, they're done. Because Tuesday nights especially, we go that hard where I know that if you are doing it correctly, everybody's on camera. So you've been doing a wonderful job. Guys, you're worn out. You have worn out and wore all your reserves. They're done. So now your body has to do something different. It says, I use the glycogen. Now it does something different. As you're exercising, the glucose in your cells turn to the chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. Pyruvate, hold on, give me a second. Let me just write it down for you. All caps. I like to use all caps. It goes into the chemical form called pyruvate, guys. Pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose. As you're exercising, now it's saying, all right, the chemical form turns into pyruvate, and then the more you go in that second circuit, you're producing more pyruvate than you're actually burning. That's how fast it goes. You see, when you're doing your aerobic exercise, you're walking, you're cycling, your oxygen levels, that phase of energy, it doesn't produce that fast. But when you're doing the high intensity intervals that we've been doing, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and then rest, you're burning more glucose into the chemical form pyruvate, and you're actually producing more than you're actually burning. So the leftover, this is what your body does. The overdose or leftover pyruvate that you're not burning, it turns into lactic acid. That's where lactic acid comes from. And by the way, it starts to build up, especially in the muscle tissue. It starts to build up in the tissue. And that tissue, remember, although it's a good burn because you know you're actually working and you're burning and breaking down muscle, at the same time, it's still acid. Disease thrives in an acidic body. That's why we've been trying to tell you guys, do away from all the acidic foods. Because yes, you can be exercising all you want, but if you're still eating foods that's keeping your body acidic, it's not going to work. You're going to be in the same position. But guys, you've been doing wonderful. So listen to what your body does. At the second circuit, we've been doing 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30, 30, and then rest. You're starting to burn. Here's where your liver kicks in. I say, all right, guys, a minute and a half. Sometimes I give you 2 minutes. I got to gauge you guys and say, I think they need 2 minutes, but most of the time it's 90 seconds. So I say, okay, guys, time to rest. Here's what you're doing. When I say rest, that doesn't mean just sit down. That means start walking, move the body, do something. Here's what happens during your recovery time. Your liver takes that excess of lactic acid and converts it back to pyruvate so you can continue to burn for fuel. That's why right after that recovery time, you no longer have that lactic acid build up in your tissue like you did before. It's going to come back, but the beautiful thing is your pyruvate is going to take care of that energy source. But here comes the third circuit. And by the way, sometimes we're working out. I say, guys, we're not going to do a third circuit. A third round. Let's just go to the third circuit with just 2 rounds. I have to gauge you guys to see exactly where we are. So here's the beautiful thing about what's next. After the second circuit, we go into the third circuit. Here's where we burn the fat. Here's where we do it. And by the way, every person's metabolic system is different. So you might be burning the first phase or the second circuit or the third circuit. Everybody's different. So here's where the wonderful magic happens. It always happens, fearfully and wonderfully made. But watch what happens next, guys. Third circuit, your glycogen levels are all reserves are done. That's the first circuit. Your second circuit, pyruvate turns into the chemical form of glucose pyruvate, lactic acid, the liver restores it, it's done. Third circuit, you need that energy source. Where are you going to get it from? Do you know that your body reactivates what is called HGH, human growth hormone, from the anterior pituitary gland in your brain? It has been deactivated ever since you have completely, fully stopped growing. The reason it deactivates is because it only comes out during development years, especially, toddler, teenager, young adult. But the more you are using your chemical reserves, your pyruvate, your glycogen, all that's tapped out, your body then reactivates HGH in the form of hormone-sensitive lipase. Now, let me say that again. The HGH is reactivated in the anterior pituitary gland in your brain, and it comes out in the form of hormone-sensitive lipase. Lipase is a fat-burning enzyme. So now that is released, you are going to get through that third round, because now right here, look at this, is tapping into your fat cells. So hormone-sensitive lipase, which is a HGH, a human growth hormone, is released or reactivates that human-sensitive lipase. Is first an enzyme, and the more you work out, as you continue in that third circuit, it then turns into a fat burner, and it's tapping into all of that wonderful resource, all of that wonderful reserve that we have sticking around our gut, sticking around our love handles, our chest, our arms, our legs, wherever it may be. So the more you're doing this, and I sometimes when you guys finish a round or 30 seconds, I hear it, and that's beautiful. I'll tell you, it's beautiful music to my ears. When oh my goodness, somebody said that the other day, oh my goodness. I love it, because guess what that's telling me? It's telling me that you are really tapping in, and that is how it works. That's how it works. Guys, we had clients lose so much weight. And then when the weight goes down, guess what's happening? Your cells are becoming naturally sensitive to your insulin, where you don't need the metformin, you don't need any other chemical base in order for you to get that insulin back into your system. Because once the cells are impregnated with too much fat, that's insulin resistant. It's not allowing insulin to unlock the key for the glucose to come in. So we're looking at glycogen, we burn those reserves. We're looking at the chemical form of glucose, which is pyruvate. We burn that reserves, comes out the over amount that we're not using. Because remember, we are producing more than we're burning. So in recovery time, that lactic acid is turned back to pyruvate. We're working, we're moving, we're reserving, restoring, we're doing everything, burning the calories. So here's the question. If I was to say to you, guys, Tuesday, we have a major workout and we're going to be really hitting it hard. So I'm going to ask everybody, please make sure that you eat the right amount of foods that's going to get you through the entire workout. And at the same time, Tuesday nights are 7:30 p.m. So when we're finished our workout, I don't want you to gorge yourself in the kitchen because honestly, I want you to stop eating at 7 o'clock p.m. But because we have that 7:30 workout, it's okay, you eat an apple or something to get you throughout the night. If you're going to eat something during the day, especially on a Tuesday, you have to tap into your fat cells, but you need an energy booster in order to get you through the workout. We already know that 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. But 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So if you are going to eat something that's going to give you the reserves that you need, guess what you need to eat, guys? A healthy fat, a healthy fat. Yes, that means spending that money on the organic nuts, organic seeds. That stuff is so important. And when you eat your salad, we've always been telling you guys, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds. Hemp seed is also going to give you the wonderful omega-3 fatty acids that your body needs. Remember, if you're going to stop eating so much of the meat, or you're going to reduce it to once a week or twice a week, there are certain things that you have to put in as a supplement in order to make up for the lack of meat. Because the meat, especially the chicken, got us in a certain situation in the first place. But now that when we do away with that, you still have to get the omega-3 fatty acids. You still have to get the vitamin B12. You still have to get your vitamin. You still have to get the cholesterol. You still have to get your calcium, your iron. All of these things are very important as far as you growing muscle mass, reducing the fat. Because remember, if you weigh yourself and you say, wait a minute, I look like I lost something, but I don't see it. Well, that means that, you don't feel it. That means that you're losing the weight, but you have to remember that muscle always weighs more than fat. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. And remember, every gram of fat, 9 calories. That's 9 calories. So therefore, a lot of people have what is called like newbie gains. So I saw a lot of thin guys hit the gym for the first time in their life, and boom, they get big like that because of human growth hormones. It's quickly released in the younger gentleman. But then when you get a little older, you got to do things very strategically and systematically, and it has to involve high intensity interval training in order for you to tap into those fat cells and burn that fuel. Hey, look, listen, it's there. Let's burn it. Let's burn it. So I say that, guys, to encourage you. Tomorrow night, 7:30. Guys, we've been doing some, they've been really gruesome lately, but it's just Tuesday night, not Thursday. I hope I haven't done it on Thursday. I'm trying to take it easy. It's low intensity on Thursday, high intensity Tuesday. But guys, whatever you do, try your best to stay on plan with your meals at 6:54. Stay on plan with your meals. Stay on board with all the fitness trainings. I appreciate everybody joining this evening, but please stay with the program. It's a proven program. It's a proven system. It does work. Just make sure that you stick to it. If you need anything, you always can reach out. We're readily available for you, questions, comments, or concerns. So we got a lot more to continue on this, but don't forget something before I let you go. So the pancreas, you have hormone sensitive lipase, right? So hormone sensitive lipase is released from the HGH, human growth hormone, released from the anterior pituitary gland in your brain. But don't forget something. Your pancreas also has other responsibilities, especially with digestion. And we'll talk about that next Monday. So your pancreas does a lot more than just kick out glucagon and kick out insulin. It does so much more, especially when it comes to the digestion and the gastrointestinal tract. I'm gonna stop right here, guys, and we're gonna stop for questions, comments, or concerns. I see everybody on. Thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns? Anybody?
Hey, James.
Hey.
I know that sometimes, even if you had not eaten yet, your numbers may go up some. Is that the storage of glucon in the liver? Is it being released somewhere else in your body?
Now, are we,
besides your pancreas? Let's just say, your first reading in the morning is 90.
yes.
And then you don't eat anything, you don't do anything, and then you look up and you 120, 125.
And you're talking
and you're
about
like, well, what?
exercise?
Without exercising, I'm just saying from like in the morning, So I'm like, is there other areas that are being released, even though you're not eating?
Yes, that's a good question. Okay, I thought you were relating it to exercise. You're just saying period.
Or even with exercise, like after you exercise and you see your numbers go up a little, you're like, well, what happened? I would expect them to go down.
Yes, sir. So remember, your body wants to kick in because it's saying, hey, alert. So what it's doing is you have what is called gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is when your body is in a fasting phase and you ate, but let's say you work out and you still didn't eat. Gluconeogenesis converts anything in your liver, it converts the starch and protein into glucose, and then it travels to your cells. So gluconeogenesis has to kick in during fasting. So if you see the numbers go up, yes, your body is still trying to preserve you. Remember, your body is always working to keep you alive. So you have to look up gluconeogenesis. Gluco is glucose. Neo, of course, is new. And then genesis, beginning. So it's starting this whole phase of trying to convert what you don't have and convert it for you inside of your stomach, inside of your system, in order for you to burn for fuel. So here's the problem, right? A lot of people say, man, I got these numbers, but you ate something or whatever it may be, and the numbers went up, or they have the coffee and the numbers go up, or a candy bar, whatever. Well, here's the problem. You had the surge, but you didn't have the activity. So what we want to do is we want to put them two together. The surge is going to happen, but if you have the activity along with the surge, it's going to balance out. It's going to balance out. And then, like we said, it's going to tap into the fat cells. So a lot of people, they get the surge, but they have no activity to go along with it. So gluconeogenesis is going to do the job for you. Your body is always, until you like literally deplete all your reserves, like the pancreas has been depleted because of our lifestyle habits, but the body is always working in our favor. It's us that mess it up. So yes, it's called gluconeogenesis, Mr. Dart. Look that up. Look it up. Absolutely. Questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Grant made it home. Good. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, I'm gonna go around. We're good, Mr. Quincy Jones. We're good, Mr. Jones. All right, awesome. Thank you for joining, Mr. Richardson. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Mr. Proctor. Guys, listen, we're gonna pick up right here talking about that pancreas, because the pancreas does some wonderful things. But remember, if you notice something that goes up in the morning, Here's the issue. Sometimes, remember I told you guys, if you have lack of sleep, it's 6:59, I'm not going to be long, but if you have lack of sleep, your body automatically registers lack of sleep. Uh-oh, we have lack of sleep, we got to do something. So we got to wake you up. So your adrenal glands is kicking out, cortisol is being released, and cortisol is one of those hormones, one of those molecules that raise up blood sugar levels. So when that raises up, cortisol kicks in, and then of course you're going to have a crash, and then glucagon kicks up to raise your blood sugars back up. It's a continuing cycle. And what we're doing is, in this program, we're going to balance everything accordingly, but make sure that you always log what you're putting into your system, because somebody told me before, they said, man, I don't know what happened. The sugars just went out of control. I said, well, okay. Well, when did it happen? Right around lunchtime. I said, what did you eat for lunch? And they said, well, some donuts, I said, well, listen, man, you got to understand these things. So we have to be well balanced in everything that we do. There wasn't anybody on the line, of course, but we have to be well balanced in everything that we do, so we can move on with clarity, understanding that if I do what I'm supposed to do, especially join with those high intensity interval trainings, you're going to lose the weight. You're going to lose that midsection. Matter of fact, we're going to be talking about that visceral fat. I think next Monday, that's the fat around the midsection that's causing more high blood pressure. I'm going to share with you how that works, why it's happening. Guys, we get to the science of everything. So please make sure that you're on also next Mondays. We can break this thing down.